The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Coming to you from underneath the peach blossom, it's time for an episode of BeAuSm. Find positivity throughout your life and work, just like our mascot rooster, Steve the Jerk.
Hello, BeAuSm listeners, followers, sharers. Welcome to episode 105. This is a special one. I'm really excited. Like when I think about the journey of BeAuSm and to be in an actual studio with none other than repeat guest, Mr. Chris Mills. Welcome.
Hello. Very happy to be here.
I can tell.
No, really, I mean it.
Yeah, we can tell. No, Chris is part of the reason why I'm here and why I think our town is really cool and the people are really cool is a couple of weeks ago, Chris actually did what was it? It was a
Discover Easton episode?
So it's for businesses?
Yeah.
Okay, so he did the Easton Community Access Television, which is where we're at the studio. Went out to Chris's shop and they did a 42-minute long business overview, looking at all his flags and doing all this stuff. And at the end of it all, he said, you ought to talk to Josh Beach. He's got this cool podcast. And Adam, who's in here with us, said, hey, someone else had mentioned Josh Beach, Samantha Godfrey. She did a recording of the podcast. I need to reach out to him. And so he reached out to me, said, we've got a studio. If you want to use it, come on down. I checked it out. And here we are. And all things going smoothly. I'll be doing my podcast from here with actual experts and people that know what they're doing. It won't look like I'm in somebody's basement, just hanging out by myself. I actually have people that
with the creepy backdrop.
Yeah, with the creepy backdrops. Think about COVID with the creepy backdrops. I had a lot of them. I was doing them in my I was doing stuff in my garage, in my basement. Green screens, white screens, no screens.
I just figured out. I have a Board of Health meeting tonight, and I just figured out how to blur my background. It only took 3 years.
On Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just go to never mind. But no, I think it's really cool that, first of all, thank you for bringing me up in your conversation. I think that's kind of something that's cool. And one of the things I want to talk about is kind of our journey in our businesses, because you're going into year 6 with Shoveltown Flags. I'm going into year 5, and we've been kind of helping each other, insulting each other just about the whole time on, things to do.
You look ridiculous with those headphones. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. You don't look any better.
Well, yeah, you look like you were just sweeping for mines. Sorry.
I'm not even get started with you. This is just, you're just trailed off, completely off because of my headphones, and I feel like I need to take them off. And
can't even make eye contact.
I'm now self-conscious about my headphones, and I'm trying to have an honest conversation and be complimentary of you, and that's just where we're going. So
no, if Jesus were a minesweeper, that's what he'd look like.
Now people are going to watch opposed to listen. Thanks, appreciate it. Hey, be sure to follow us on YouTube and subscribe, because Chris, I'm sure, will be on more episodes and he will speak more about my headphones and what not to wear, and I might have to invest in something a little bit smaller. But so what's been going on with you? Let's start there. What's new with Chris Mills and Shoveltown Flag, and you're a paramedic and firefighter still, have a construction business, have a family, just did a bunch of renovations in your house. You're not too busy with things.
No, plug it along. We've seemed to have recovered from from COVID, and business is steady, for which I'm thankful for. I think we're seeing a slight downturn economically. It hasn't quite hit the consumer yet, but I see construction starting to level off a little bit. Oddly enough, as far as flag sales, it's been a busy winter and it's usually dead. February, I usually don't sell anything, and I'm very steady, again, for which I'm thankful. I'd just as soon be in the shop where it's warm. But the town of Easton itself has been incredibly busy on the emergency side of things. People are still getting sick. The fire department itself is facing some challenges as far as the Brockton Hospital had a fire last week, and we can't transport people there anymore, which is one of our regulars. So we're primarily using Good Sam and the Morton Hospital in Taunton, which is, some people it's tough to take because you get used to a certain hospital, and now they can't go there, and that's posing some interesting challenges at work. But
is that a longer drive to Morton opposed to?
Honestly, it's really not. It's just I think with that hospital, it's just out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah,
we're so autopilot. Good seeing Brockton, and but quite honestly, the Morton's really close.
So I went to the emergency room because when my grandmother fell last November, and I couldn't put into words or imagine how busy and crazy the hospital was in November before the fire. Is it the same, worse? Is it?
It's worse. It's
people are waiting hours, and if they're not in dire need, they could be waiting.
Oh, it's insanity right now. Unfortunately, a lot of people are seeking primary care medicine at an emergency room, which does clog the system a little bit as well. But this winter, it seems like it's worse than peak pandemic. The hospitals throughout the Commonwealth, which is so organized through the pandemic, they really stepped up and did an amazing job. Now it's just they physically don't have we've taken people to the hospital and they don't physically have beds.
Right.
We've put people in wheelchairs.
There were people in hallways that were just
timing is everything. Sometimes there's some slow periods, but now that they're swallowing, a third to a half of a hospital's workload, extra. It's and this our area in particular, people forget that to take a hospital like the Good Sam, they're already swallowing a lot of Norwood hospitals patients that.
And that's going to be closed for an additional year because they couldn't get a fence or something, right?
I think they're rebuilding the whole thing. I think
they are. They're rebuilding the whole thing, but they were.
That's a ways out.
When they started the demolition was right when COVID started, and they had to have a fence. You're in construction, so you probably know better than I do. But they had to have some sort of fencing around the entire, and they couldn't get it, so it put a delay by like 6 months or a year. So that hospital's not going to be done now until like 2025.
Yeah, and I don't know what the predictions are for the Brockton Hospital to reopen, but the fire was in, from what I understand, the main electrical area, which is the brain of the whole system. So I can't see where that would be coming back online anytime soon. So it's definitely it's challenging for a lot of people, but that's from the paramedic fire department end of things. That's kind of what we've been dealing with right now, presently.
You've been 20 years?
26 years.
26 years. It's like you got almost a career under your belt. Look at you.
Just about.
All grown up.
I got on young, and yeah.
And you go 24 hour. You go 24 hours on, a day off, and 24 hours on. Is that how that works for everybody?
Yes. Yeah, that's kind of your average fire department schedule, at least in southeastern Mass. Some cities do different things differently, but for the most part, it's day on, day off, day on, 5 off.
So you're odd. Like
I am odd.
You are. You're odd. Like it's just as your OCD and your ADD and all of them all combined together, and you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning walking however many miles, and you're going nonstop. How do you adjust? And then we'll start talking about flags and other stuff. But now I just got into some really things that I've never asked you. Like, how does your body adjust from going 24 hours on? You come home and do the things you need to do.
I don't know. I remember when I was going to college and then went to paramedic school, they talked about how people that work midnights live less, don't live as long as people that work and live a regular schedule. It's almost like I don't know any better because
you've been doing it for so long.
I've been an EMT since I was 18, and then I became a paramedic when I was 20.
Yeah.
I've just always done this type of schedule. There's days where you come home from work and you're kind of a zombie, but then there's days where you just pick up and go. And I think part of the only reason why I get up at 4 is it's my brain is peak when I wake up in the morning. So it's like the best time of the day for me to get stuff done. Go for a quick walk, come back and work on construction paperwork or flags, whatever task that I have scheduled for that day. But that is the best time. You know, most of my close friends, they know they can call me at 6:30 in the morning. It's completely fine with me. I answer.
Yeah. Just don't call after 7:30.
Right.
At night.
Oh, no. Definitely not.
I don't think I've ever talked to you unless it was like an emergency after 8 p.m.
No. I spite not answer. It's 9:30. There's no reason for you to be calling.
Yeah. You just turned into like my parents as a kid. Why are they calling so late?
Oh, 9:30 is late. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
At 49 years old, 9:30 is late.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite the witching hour, but it's up there.
See, I'm just getting started. I don't sleep at night. I get up early too. I don't think I sleep at all.
I don't sleep. I just lay in bed and twitch for 6 hours and then get up. That's it.
Oh God. So, well, we got off track on the flag business. And I think that's something cool when you just talked about the February, this February being, busy, and it normally isn't. I think there's an answer for that. And it's one of the things that I've always admired in regards to your business is the amount that you give. And I was actually just reading a CEO was talking about, the success that he's gotten in his business was not from, the grind and the grit and all that other stuff. It was that he was always, that what he found was when he gave, the more he gave, the more opportunity started to find itself. And I don't think it's a surprise that this February you had a spike, because every year you've gone, you started 5 years ago, you gave a flag for Veterans Day month, right?
Yeah.
You gave
it was
one
like a flag on Veterans Day, then it was a flag a week.
Yep.
And then I think the following year was probably a total of 7 or 8 flags throughout the whole month. There's no regularity to it. And then starting last year, it was a flag a day.
Yep.
For all of November. And we did it again this year as well.
30 days in November. So you gave away 30 flags.
Yep.
I'm glad I know how many days there are in November. But you gave away one really special flag that raised a lot of money.
Yes. Channel 5.
The thing was a monster. How big was that?
I made it by accident.
I don't know how you make something that big by accident.
It was about 3 feet by 5 feet. And Channel 5 and Chronicle had done a story on Shoveltown Flag a year ago, as a matter of fact. And I had connected with Erica Taranto, who was the anchor and the person that was interviewing me. And I said, in November, would you like to pick one of the veterans that we could donate a flag to? So as you know, the first couple of years, I would just pick the veterans. Mm-hmm. And then once I established a core group, I would have the veterans pick veterans. Mm-hmm. And then the following year, I would have those veterans pick veterans. So it's kind of it just branches out like a spider web. And I had asked her if she wanted to pick a veteran, and we connected, and she had 2 she couldn't decide. I said, well, we'll give them both one. Mm-hmm. I can't say their names, but one's a very public person, and the other one was the oldest living Tuskegee Airman. Yeah. He lives in Boston, I believe. Mm-hmm. At the same time, Channel 5 was doing the day before Veterans Day, they were doing a fundraiser telethon, and they had asked if I wanted to kind of help host it with her. Right. And I had a commitment to a club that you and I belong to that night. So, but I said, you know what? I have this odd sized flag that we can donate. And she said, I don't know. And then I thought of you know what? I'm sorry. This isn't an auction. It's a telethon. My bad. I said, if you want the flag, you guys are more than welcome to that. So she sent her producer down. She came and picked it up. She said, we don't know what we're going to do with it yet. I just said, make sure a deserving veteran get it. It was a mahogany flag. It was I was making a flag for a car dealership. They wanted this big thing, and this one I made wasn't the right color frame. So I said, I'll hang on to it. I'll do something with it. And I made them a different one. So I remember getting ready to go to the fundraiser that we were hosting.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife was watching Channel 5 and this commercial, and there's my flag on TV. It was like, wow. And so for every $500 donation, you were going to, every $500 you donate to the telethon, you got entered into the raffle for this flag. And I said to myself, I'm like, that's a lot of money. Who's gonna do that? You know, I feel like Daddy Warbucks when I give 25. And right off the bat, I think it might have been, I don't even know if it was AT&T.
Yeah, it was AT&T to match.
Committed $21,000 to match that. And it spiderweb from there. And they connected with me the next day. I can't say how much the flag raised, but
a lot.
The telethon itself, I believe, was over 150,000, and the flag was responsible for a big portion of it. And they had told me it was a widow, a veteran's widow, that won the flag, and it was awesome. I mean, it was great. It was just a great story. I don't want to go into too much detail, just for privacy reasons, but it was great.
Yeah, that's kind of something that's neat that you don't see every day when you talk about privacy reasons, because you've given, when you give these flags to these veterans, a lot of them don't want the feel good videos and the pictures and all that stuff, the notoriety. And you know, some of them do, and it's cool. I mean, I saw the one with the
November 1st,
the guy in the pickup truck.
Yep.
And it came out, and
that's a tearjerker.
Yeah. I mean, they are. I mean, all of them.
Yeah.
All of them are. I mean, I gave one to a Navy SEAL, a friend of mine. It's a Navy SEAL, and you know, his communication to me was wildly emotional. But what's really neat is that, you know, you're doing this and you're doing it for a lot of people, and it's like, hey, you're just doing it, and that's kind of cool. But there are some cool ones that we can talk about, like the Zach Brown Band one you raised. What that one raise?
That one, the one they had us at the concert was over 8,000.
Yeah.
The only thing that went more was his hat. Remember that? Somebody spent $16,000 on his hat. That's. I probably would if I had the money, but that was where I accidentally bid. Remember before? I accidentally bid $250,000. My wife came home before we left for the airport, and I was white as a sheet. What's wrong? I'm like, I did something that I don't know how to undo.
We'd like to congratulate Chris Mills. The opening bid was $25, and he went to $250,000. It was a runaway.
But oddly enough, that's how I became friends with them.
Yeah,
and they reached out to me and, did you make a mistake? And I was like, uh-huh. Like, do you want us to fix it? I was like, yes, please. And they were really welcoming at that fundraiser after that. And that's kind of how I've committed, you know, with their fan groups and stuff like that, some flags with them. But what I started to do this year, and I'm ashamed to admit that I never thought of it prior to when I was doing these November flag giveaways, is I don't know why, but just in November, I said, geez, I never include Gold Star families in this.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you want to open up emotional wounds for a family and everything like that. But so I decided I'd pick somebody, a Gold Star family member, to receive a flag this year. And I can't say who it was just yet, but it wasn't until Friday that we were actually able to present the flag. And he's a politician, and so unfortunately we realized that he has to purchase the flag, and it's engraved with his name on it. So, but it can't be that type of a gift. But speaking with him, and it'll probably be public on my page within a week or so, he said, this is amazing. Gold Star families tend to feel like they've been forgotten. over the years. And it just, oddly enough, his son's birthday was this weekend. So for him to have shown up at the shop and we gave
His
him
son that was killed. Yeah.
Yes. His son that was KIA this weekend. And it's his birthday this weekend. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it was just an emotional hour and a half hanging out.
Yeah.
I mean, the individual's an amazing guy, and he's done a lot for public safety in the Commonwealth. And I had a friend of mine, Senator Walter Timilty, who facilitated the whole thing. They'd invited me to the State House to give it, and we know how I am, and I didn't think the State House would be an appropriate place for me. So he said, well, how about we do it at the shop? And it was like, yeah, it took a month or two to organize, but it was really cool. It was an emotional afternoon, but I was glad to do it.
Your shop has come a long way, / your garage, basement.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's come from, 2018 when we did the first podcast episode with the microphone sitting on a sawhorse or something.
Wow. You're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. To like,
completely different now. Showroom shop.
It's literally like, it's a showroom. I mean, you have 15, 20 flags on the walls. You've got all sorts of new equipment and the sparkly floor, whatever it's called. And, what's it? I mean, people actually, you told me the other day, like somebody just came in off this, like just unannounced, just pulled in.
Swung by.
Does that happen often? Like,
you know what?
Because it is your house. I mean, it
is. And it's, I know one of these days I'm not going to be home.
Yeah. I mean, do you need a come in, we're open sign?
Well, you know what? I actually asked the guy, and this happened right after the episode on Chronicle ran. I have a website, which is easy to find, and they just assume it's a store. And you know what? They should. I don't differentiate that or what have you. So it'd be pretty tacky if I had people driving to a PO box.
Yeah, that's what I did.
And so it's great. I mean, fortunately, for whatever reason, I've always been home. I'm not unaware of times that I've missed a person, but on Friday, someone had reached out that they need to come by this afternoon. They need a retirement gift. Yeah. So I always have stuff on display that I can also sell as well, in between working on the custom pieces. But it's these people are just amazing that they swing by, and everybody has a different story about why they want one, or when you get a World War II widow coming in and ordering one with our husband's name on it or something. It's
well, everybody's got a different reason for it, right? I mean, you've got one that's got what are they, boat cleats?
With the
rope around
it. With starfish for stars.
Yeah.
So
you made one for me for my friends that own the Christmas Farm Inn that
had the Christmas trees.
Had the Christmas trees for the stars,
Yeah, we could do. I'm working on one right now that has a Minuteman on it. I'm working on a scuba diving flag right now. I have a lot of custom stuff going on. That's what's been weird about this February. There's been very little.
Yeah.
Give me a God Bless America special. It's everything's been custom, so I've had to trace down different cutouts and shapes. I have somebody who does some of the laser work for me.
Yeah.
But it's fun to do.
Yeah, I meant to look this up. Now I'm going to look it up and see. I'm sure I kept it. Was what number flag you gave me? Because I think it was like in the 80s. Does that sound right?
I don't.
2018.
18. It might have been a little higher.
It wasn't 100. I know that. I didn't get up to 100. Where are you at? How many flags have you?
I think I'm in the I hit the 950s this morning.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, 950. That's so 4.5 years. You're at 950. You've done, we'll say 900 plus flags. That's
accurate enough? Yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing like 200, 250. Here it is. 1878. Number 70.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yep, number 70.
That's like a vanity plate for one of my flags.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the shop. There was a table that we put the microphone
Oh,
on.
wow. That's before
Yeah, October
anything
20
was done in the shop. Yeah.
October 22nd, 2018. You had that random, I had to take a picture of
Oh,
that,
the wood.
of your wood pile because I thought it was ridiculous. And then you gave me some reason why you did that, and I forget why.
It seasons the wood quicker. That's how the Germans do it.
Of course it does. So number 70. So you've done almost 900 in 4.5 years.
Wow. Yeah. A couple pieces of furniture thrown in there.
Yeah. Do you number the furniture too?
Everything's numbered in succession. Yeah. So if it has a flag on it, it's signed and has a number on
If
it.
it has a flag on it, you actually don't make anything that doesn't have a flag on
I
it.
have-
I wanted a bourbon box the other day, and you then upsold me the flag with the shelving.
I have something massive that I'm working on right now that my wife would not let me put a flag on it.
Mm-hmm.
I just made a huge custom piece for the Station 1 Brewery in Foxborough, and it was big. And this is the prototype I was working on 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I was talking at the same time with somebody who was picking up their flag, and I had the frame made, I put the backing on it, and then I started inlaying the stripes. I did this frame and realized I only made about room for 7 or 8 stripes. I cut this thing just ridiculously small.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, all right. And it's a solid ash frame, which was not cheap. What am I going to do with this now?
And how big is this?
It's 5 feet long, and it's probably 2.5 feet in
It's
diameter.
a beast.
So it's going to be a mountain mosaic, which those are really popular and sell very quickly.
When you made the first one, you didn't think it would sell. I have one.
You have my second one, I think.
Yeah.
No, I didn't think it would sell at all. I just made it for me.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of it. I'm like, I think I can do that with my own tweaking. And there's an art gallery in New Hampshire that probably every month and a half they sell one of the big ones that I'll make.
Yeah.
So
now you just make it with the mountains now. You don't make it with the flag in the background, or do you do both?
This one is just
Mountains and
mountains and sky. There's no flag
Yeah.
on it. There's no engraving on it. It'll just be kind of like what I donated to the chamber.
Yeah.
Only a massively large version of it. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. None whatsoever.
Mhm.
It's too
You'll
big
sell
to
it.
even take a picture of it. I don't. We'll see. I don't even have room in the shop to hang it.
Yeah.
But
How long does it take to make? I think I asked you this once before, but like on an average flag, like how many hours of?
it depends on what the flag is being made from. So if I have an old beam, like one of these collar ties right here, it's probably a 4x12. I have to yield usable wood out of that first. So it has to run through a joiner, run through a planer. I have to run a metal detector over it to see if I can take out all the old iron, because if you hit a nail from the 18 or early 1900s, that's like legit steel.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I mean, it's not good to hit nowadays a nail, but a finished nail from back then versus a finished nail now are 2 completely different things.
So you take that big beam and you cut it up yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I get it down to probably 3-4 feet,
Mm-hmm.
at workable lengths, and then start running it through. So that process itself can take up to a day. Once I have,
So how many flags can you make with that beam right there?
It depends.
No one can see it on the camera, but
it depends.
above us is
The flags average about 1 inch by 2.5 inches, unless somebody wants like a custom size or whatever. But that's the average. So you figure if that's a 4x12, it's just tough to say with waste.
Yeah.
And when you're working with wood from the early 1900s, 1700s, sometimes you can start cutting into it, it can just completely fall apart, disintegrate.
Yeah.
I've had people bring me logs. A 10-inch round log, I might only yield 2 pieces of usable wood out of it when I'm done. It's amazing
What's the oldest piece of wood you think you've had? Now that you say, because I know mine's real old from the governor.
1700s, I think.
Wow.
Someone has brought me. Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of people will bring their own wood to me.
Yeah.
Can you make a flag out of this? Sure. Or hopefully, I did a lot this year. People on Cape Cod, there's no more real estate, so people are buying houses, taking them down and building their own house.
Mm-hmm.
So I had 3 separate occasions people bring me wood from the house that they raised.
Yeah.
You make a flag out of it, we're going to put it on the porch of the new one, which is a great idea. So there was a lot of that as well. So, but that's probably early 1900s, that kind of stuff. Yours was part of a contractor friend of mine who was doing work at the Ames estate and called and said, I'm filling this dumpster up. Do you want it? I was like, yeah. I went down there and.
Because that happens all the time, right? People just do a renovation on an old house.
Yeah. The Historical Society in Easton cleaned out their attic, and a gentleman called. He's like, we are throwing out all this stuff, and there was a ton there that was usable, and you just can't recreate the grain on some of the wood from 1800s. You just can't, and it's nice and stable. And who wouldn't want a flag made out of a 1800s bathroom stall door?
Yeah. I mean, it's a story.
Of course it is.
It's a great...
If that wood could talk, what is that wood scene?
Yeah, well, that's not where my flag came from. But is there a flag somewhere that says bathroom stall?
In Easton, actually.
Wow.
There's more than one. There's several. And every person that bought it thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
It's like who would lie about that?
Yeah.
If anything, I should have said, oh, this is from a church pew. And, I'm like, no, this came out of the Historical Society. It was a bathroom stall door.
Well, it's kind of
You're
fun.
welcome.
Yeah.
And every flag is signed and numbered.
Yeah.
And I put down on the back, I engrave where the wood came from.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's funny because when people come to our house, I mean, you walk in the front door and we've got the flag coat rack. And then we've got the mountain mosaic. And then if you come in my office, I've got the BeAuSm original because there's been 3 BeAuSm flags made.
Your board members. Yep.
Yeah. And then there's the challenge coin holder. And when people see them, they ask me, where'd you get that? Like as if you can get it at Walmart or something. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's my friend made it. And then I start telling the stories. I've got the challenge coin came from a pole shed or pole barn.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's
came
a
from
blur.
a pole barn, the Governor Ames estate. There's like all different ones. There's just different stories on each of them. It's kind of neat. And now, do you document every one of them, or do you just put it on the back? So you've got like a whole spreadsheet of every single.
It's just kind of a notebook that I keep, but
yeah.
When it's out of production and it's going to a customer or going to be in the shop, I record the number and where the wood came from and what type of flag it is. Sometimes the person as well, but it's just so if I ever want to refer to it, or it's really nothing more than nostalgia. But it's funny to think that sometime probably this spring I'll hit 1,000 flags.
Yeah,
it's a lot of stars.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that's interesting that when you talk about this stuff, you get this passion. Like when you say, "Oh, it's this beautiful piece of ash," or look when I was over yesterday, and you're like, "Look at these nail holes, like the square nail holes, like in the mahogany." Is everybody that's in the construction business have this interest in wood, or did you just like?
No.
How does that come about? Because for me, and you know me, I don't know how to fix anything.
No, you don't.
I'm lucky I can tie my shoe most days.
You're terrible.
Yeah, I'm the worst. I tried to take my Ring doorbell apart this weekend because the battery was dead, and it took me 2 trips to Home Depot and a bunch of stuff to realize that I should have just smashed it with a hammer and started over again. We stripped the screw. Of course, because I turned it the wrong way. So, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, unless you're upside down and then it's reverse, I guess.
It's awkward. The rings are awkward, I will say.
Well, I get an excuse for that. But I find it interesting, just that interest. Like for me, if it was me, I'd just get 2x4s and I'd slice them up and be like, hey, that's good. It's pine, it's whatever. But you know the different type of wood, the texture, how the wood's going to take to the stain, what type of stain.
It's
there's a science to it. There's
a little bit, but it's I'll get a phone call from somebody and be like, hey, I saw a flag that says Land of the Free on it. It had all these nail holes in it. Do you have any wood like that? Or some people want something more stately for their office. Yeah. Things like that. I do make flags out of brand new stock as well. If somebody wants something, out of black walnut, beech, whatever. I saw a TV show when I was in my teens, I believe. Guy making furniture out of reclaimed wood, and I thought that was the neatest thing, and I loved the look of the nail holes and stuff like that, and that's just kind of how I started doing it. Over the years of renovating people's houses, if I came across, especially old houses, you come across interesting pieces of wood all the time, so I just hung on to them, and I said, well, geez, maybe I'll use this to make flags, and that's how that came about. But
do people call and say, I'd like a mahogany flag or an ash flag?
Yeah.
Because I just say, just make me a flag. I know you're going to do a good job, so that's all I
50% of the people just order a flag.
Yeah.
They don't. And then the other 50% are very particular.
Mm-hmm.
So, but and it's definitely this year we're starting to do more corporate flags, which is great. Retirement gifts, or bosses distributing flags to their clients and stuff like that with the client's company name on them and things like that. So that's more on the newer side of the flags, as opposed to people want to give their grandfather who was in World War II a flag. Those people tend to want the reclaimed stuff. And I do have a stash of wood that is specifically from some historic houses here in Easton that I save for if somebody from Easton wants a flag. And incidentally, the lighting in here makes it look like you're wearing green eyeshadow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Oh, you are wearing eyeshadow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right. The question I was going to ask, now that I forgot, now I just remembered it because of your being just a great guest. Have you ever had a flag that you made that you didn't want to, like someone ordered a flag and you just were like, I don't want to sell this, I want to keep it?
Yeah. A couple of times, then I cave.
Yeah.
My poor wife, I before we did that fireplace over, I'd make a flag, like my first wavy flag.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of this thing. I'd never seen anything like it before. And I was like, oh, let's put it on the mantle. And someone asked to buy it. She came home from work one day. She's like, where the heck, I sold it. My first mountain mosaic put up there.
Yeah.
It's if I want to sell something, I have to put it on my mantle.
Yeah.
And then someone was like, hey, I saw on your website this. And so there've been 2 or 3 that I've made that are definitely not going anywhere. But I like to see people buy them. I'd like to, the more flags that I sell, I have committed that the more I'll donate.
Yeah.
I almost was 1-for-1 this year with donating, which was a lot. That will probably slow down a bit. The second half of the year, I take it back. The second half of the year was almost a 1-for-1 every flag I sold. I'd like to keep it around every 2 flags I sell, I could probably donate one.
Yeah.
There's some business things going on that I have to evaluate first, but it's
a lot. That's a huge commit.
I get carried away.
I think you get carried away because you have so many people that ask. I don't have anything special. I've got, from a tangible, it's t-shirts and coffee mugs, right? It's like from a business, it's, will you speak for free or will you come?
It's still
do this talk. Will you do something? And the reality of it is it's just you have more asks than there is time, money, and effort that you can put to something. I get 10 to 15 requests of donations every week. You're out there. You've got, and I don't have a huge social media following. Like you've got thousands of people between your Instagram and your Facebook and everything else. And so I'm sure you get a ton of people, and you don't want to say no to anybody. I mean, it's hard to say no.
No, it is, especially, and unfortunately, sometimes I just have to. Sometimes I just don't have anything to donate, and I won't be able to produce something in time.
Right.
Sometimes I can give a gift certificate at least. So I try to do what I can, but I'm definitely keeping it local.
Yeah.
As far as flags, except for some of the few veterans organizations that I committed to, but even those are just within the Commonwealth now. But it's incredible to still donate that. And then don't forget, once a month, we send somebody a free flag as well.
Yeah.
If I see somebody do something patriotic on TV or social media, or
who's the guy that sent you the book? Gary
Sinise.
Yeah.
He had there's a Gary Sinise Foundation. I don't know why I started researching it. This was years ago.
Yeah.
And everything he does with veterans, building houses for them and everything, and his band, and they go play at the army bases, and so sent him a flag.
Yeah.
Didn't think when I send somebody a flag anonymously or what have you, I do not expect anything in return. Whatever. Then what was it, like 4 or 5 months later? Get a copy of his book with a huge letter written on the inside of it, and it was neat. And a couple times I've seen him interviewed on TV, and there's my flag in the background. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen him on TV. I have to check it out. I'll have to do some searching. Yeah, you've done some, like you did one you sent to a police officer that was like a hockey coach or something. There was a story behind that.
Oh, wow. I forgot about that. Yeah, but.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
He
was a lecture. It was tryouts for like a semi-pro hockey team he coached as well that was before COVID. Where was it? Connecticut,
yeah.
And that was probably 2018. It was when the people were starting the nonsense of kneeling during the national anthem. And he said he was telling his players, someone was videotaping, he was telling his players in the locker, these were prospective players that were tryouts. He goes, if you're going to kneel during the national anthem or whatever, he said it just so politely and respectfully, but please get the F out now.
Yeah.
It was just, and of course that went viral everywhere. And I saw it. I'm like, I sent this guy a flag, and I didn't even know he was a police officer, and research found out, sent it to him, and he called me, and we just had a really nice, hour-long conversation.
Yeah.
Just a cop and a fireman talking, but it's cool.
For somebody that doesn't get out much, you get to meet a lot of people that are pretty awesome all around, all over the place, for basically from this flag business. Like
Absolutely.
when you think about it, like I don't know if we've ever talked about it, but I mean, you've literally flown twice, once with us,
once on my honeymoon,
and once on your honeymoon in the last 20 some odd years. So you're a pretty local guy. You don't go to New Hampshire, you go to the Cape.
No, I get made fun of for it, but
yeah.
I am just one of those people that I have everything I need in New England.
Yeah.
I have beach, I have mountains, and I would like to see other places, and
yeah,
I'm sure we will at some point, but
you got people, I mean, like I say, you've got people in Colorado and Connecticut and Georgia and all these people that you
flags
get
to Alaska and Hawaii.
Yeah.
I sent one to England a few years ago. So, I mean, it's just neat connecting with all these people.
Yeah.
Up and down the East Coast, which is great. And just having these conversations, especially where probably 25-30% of these people are public safety.
Yeah.
So it's really neat to talk to other people who share the same job as myself, and to hear what nuances they're dealing with, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You learn quickly that it's the same everywhere, just different faces or what have you. But it's a fun ride so far.
Yeah. No, I think I wanted to do this episode for a couple of reasons, and one of them was, I think we've talked about it. The podcast is meant to be kind of a time capsule. It was in design for me. Originally, I didn't know what I was doing. Ed our friend Ed said, "Hey, you got to do a podcast."
Your friend Ed.
Yeah, my friend Ed. Said, "Hey, you got to do a podcast. You should do a podcast," because they were just picking up. There was, I think, 600,000 podcast channels. Joe Rogan, was really getting into his prime, and so I launched a podcast in July of 2018, not knowing what I was going to do, and had Santa Claus on episode 3, and all of a sudden, just strangely, it started to pick up, and before I knew it, it's in the top 3% of all podcasts, and there's 3.4 million podcasts a day, which is pretty good.
Well, it does pose the question that I was planning on asking you, and I've been asked by several people. I think more people listen to your podcast than you think, but everyone wanted to know, like, you do the BeAuSm at FM stuff.
Yeah.
But what has happened to the BeAuSm podcast?
Yeah.
They've slowed down because you've been busy doing your other stuff.
Well,
what does the future hold for that? Because people, as much as it pains me to compliment you,
well, now that I'm in this studio, I can do it. Yeah, so it's really been interesting. So I actually have 3 podcasts, and 2 are for primarily focused on facilities. One's specific for Missouri. It's you get 168 hours in a week, and one of the biggest challenges for me is I watch a lot of podcasts where people record episodes, like record 4 or 5 episodes, and then they release them. And I was always doing the episodes as they came. So literally, I recorded the episode with you, and I published it. The first episode I did with you in October 2018, we literally recorded it, and I published it before I even left your house. And it doesn't work. Like from a scale side of things, from a sanity side of things. Like I'm going on the road this week. I'm going to record probably 2 or 3 episodes. So I need to figure out how to do it more timely. But where is it going and what is it going to do? The goal is to do more of them. The reality is it doesn't pay the bills. This is a non-revenue generating venture that I have that it probably never will. Like when you look at podcasts, even if you get traction and tons of followers, and all of a sudden, because I look like I'm wearing green eyeshadow, everybody follows and subscribes on YouTube. The number of people that actually make money of any considerable anything with advertising and everything, it's very small. And COVID killed me. Like COVID was a crippler. I mean, you cannot be a public speaker. I mean, we started the business in 2018, in June of 2018. I was gainfully employed, and this was a side gig. And in 2020, I had picked up enough momentum where I could have left my job. I was happy with my job. I could have left my job and probably taken it on full time. And then I ended up losing my job in COVID, gainful employment. And it's been kind of a roller coaster ride ever since. And now we're just starting to pick up. As you said the other day, you're traveling pre-COVID, right? You're back.
Yep,
You're back on Josh. Yeah, the old Josh is back. And but it's taken a while. And the other piece is guests, just having people to come on that I find that are interested and that kind of fit into the mold of what BeAuSm is supposed to be, which is, we're all ordinary people, but some folks are doing some really extraordinary things. Everybody can, but having that person on the other end of the microphone is key, and you just don't have that opportunity as often as you'd like. So the goal is to do it more. Now that I've got Adam over here that's running the show, and we got this space to use, the goal is to do more. I think more frequent, more regular, probably timed release as opposed to release as they come. So like every Tuesday at 2.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, it's funny as analytics and tools start to get better and smarter. You start to see, and you're like, wow, I had the podcast I did with the facility management, BeAuSm Facility Management, 2 weeks ago, had 1,500 downloads in the first 24 hours. And like the last BeAuSm with David Cooks had, I think it's up over 3,000 downloads. And it's like, who are these people? And then you talk to people and they're like, hey, listen to your podcast last week.
There are so many people that don't even listen to live radio anymore. That they
Right.
just, they're on the car, whatever.
Yep.
If I'm going for any lengthy ride, sometimes all the way to Southeastern, I'll pull down a podcast.
How's life been, by the way, with the moving of the monument? Has that directionally challenged you
It
at all?
screwed me up.
Yeah.
It I just drive right by now. I miss my turn to work.
Yep. Yep. There was in our town, there was a monument in Southeastern, and it was in the middle of this
ridiculous intersection.
Yeah, it's kind of a ridiculous intersection. So the monument is from the 1700s, early 1800s, and they moved the monument to the side of the road, which everybody has just been up in arms about, and they put a street light in, but it needed to be there because it was.
It's horrific accidents there. The street light is definitely.
But it's a waypoint in town, and where it's moved off to the side of the road, I'm sure it's.
Yeah, when people stop at the fire station for directions now, I have to send them to my house first.
Doesn't matter which way you go left.
Do you know what Pequannock Ave is? And then we venture off from there.
Yeah. But no, it's. I'm hoping to do more of them. To answer your question, that's the plan anyway. We'll see how many people listen to this and kind of take it from there. But it's been an interesting ride. This is kind of one of the things I want to talk about, and kind of the time capsule. Going back to the time capsule pieces, in 2018, it was funny. I was sitting in Starbucks. I designed my own. I did my own website and talked to you, and I'm like, hey, I can build you just a crappy website too if you want. And you're like, I don't know. And we built.
They fought it. Yeah, remember that?
Yep, you fought it. We built your website. I built you a terrible website so that your family could, go and build another one, which was lights out fantastic, and you got all sorts of traction with it. But I mean, thinking about like going back to 2018, we were both just kind of like, what do we do? And we just kind of figured it out. And for you to have done 900 flags, and for me to go through this wild ride of a business, it's kind of interesting when you stop for a second and look back and go.
I will say, not to give Square a plug, but they do
Squarespace.
Yes.
You can give Square a plug too, because I use them for my payments.
They go out of their way to make it easy for your average person to try and market yourself through a website.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm lucky. My middle daughter is a marketing major at Stonehill College, and the spring project is going to be a revamp of Shoveltown Flag again. So hopefully a little bit more professional, better quality, which is, the free help for me. I'll take it. And probably by summertime, we'll be launching the Cape Cod Flag Company as well. So it'll be kind of a sister company of mine, obviously focusing down the Cape. Yep. That seemed to have picked up a lot by the end of the summer last year. So it'll be busy, but it'll be the importance of the internet and these companies like Squarespace or so nobody cash just isn't being used anymore. So we mentioned Square. I think a couple of weeks ago we were talking about your Square reader. Mine I can't stand because it's you gotta charge it.
I told you I was gonna let you borrow it, and I never gave it to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Too busy sweeping for mines.
Yeah.
And so, but for somebody like me to be able to figure out how to send an invoice and have you pay it online securely and quickly, it's great. It's my advice to people with businesses, selling a product or whatever that they're on the fence about or whatever, is to research it, pay your sales tax, which you have to do monthly now. But it's I would not be where I was if it weren't for you. That afternoon you came over and I was making fun of you the whole time building the website. Was this time, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. But it was. It legitimizes you. People can do a Google search, say, okay, it's this, and you can't rely on social media as much as you used to be able to. There's kind of
it's definitely gone.
It's free, which is good. So any a little piece of the pie is better than no pie at all. But the way the algorithms are now, if people are not liking and sharing, then it's going to get dialed back. There are positives that I tell people to it, though, as far as, I just posted a flag. Not everyone's seeing it, but over the course of 2 weeks, it keeps recirculating in other people's feeds that have not seen it. So it does pop up. And so there, the weeks that I'm not putting as much of my product online to show, there's still, it's jogging people's memory and stuff like that. So it's good and it's bad, but you definitely can't rely on it. And I think what we're finding now is the video world is taking over. So Reels, TikTok, YouTube, that's making plain Facebook or Instagram become like radio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it seems to be...
Well, from a business standpoint, you got to think about, like, for me, my buyers are on LinkedIn. Like,
right.
I'm in the thousands of dollars for an hour of speaking. My starting rate, it's on my website, it's $5,000, and that's a lot of money. And so for me to put, a lot of my attention into TikTok, I've never really had any. I haven't gotten any interest from anyone to actually book me on any other social media other than LinkedIn. But I also haven't gotten the level of interest as much as I've had in the last 8 months when I had my website actually built by somebody. I don't have a middle child. That's probably where I messed up, because that's free labor from what I'm hearing, which is nice. But I actually paid to have my website redone. And I just literally looked at my phone a couple of minutes ago, and I had a submission of someone that wanted to have me do a keynote in I think Minnesota. Pretty cool. I never got that before. The website was built professionally, or has that professional look.
Yeah, there is definitely a difference.
The work that I do is no different. The effort that I give is no different.
But the marketing is.
Yeah, the marketing. It's all, and I've been someone that's fought that. I was like, it shouldn't matter what my website says or looks like. People should, want me. Yeah, and
there's a fine line between looking too expensive,
right,
versus a picture quality is a big thing.
Yeah,
picture quality, even if you have a boring website, professional headshots, professional picture taking is a worthwhile investment to your business.
Oh, 100%. Chris Ventresco followed me around town. What I wanted to do was I wanted all my pictures to be in the town in Easton, other than, the action photos, which they've also were in Easton at Stonehill College and in Canton at Blue Hills. But that it made all the difference in the world. And having that website definitely, I think from a business standpoint, there's a lot of people that are either have a side hustle and they've lost their job, or they're worried about their job. And I think that there's no better time. And I'm not telling you to go out, drop everything, go start a business, but it's never been easier. LegalZoom gets you in and out for $600 to get an actual LLC run. You can get a website built by someone if you don't want to build it yourself for a couple grand at the most. And you're right, all the marketing on the social media it's free. We don't do that boosting anymore after all of the A/B testing on that stuff. But
yeah,
no,
that's
it's
yeah.
Well, it's building that following. It's getting people genuinely interested. And I mean, we talked about this, and then we got to jump off here in a few minutes. But you talked about it the other day. You're like, how many pictures of flags can I put up that people are interested? But you still have a diehard following of, you put your picture of a flag or a video of a flag, and
there are. I actually get, when I'm posting them, sometimes I'm just like, oh, another one. No one cares. No one cares. And Carrie will just say, just put it out there. Like you said, how many times do you say, will you just post one and just say for sale?
Yeah.
$350.
Yeah.
And every time I do, it sells.
Yeah.
So, but being able to park your pride and listen to the advice of others is key.
Yeah.
It absolutely is key. It's key in the business world. It's key in the trades. It's one of those life lessons that I hope, my kids, there are people that know more than you. And if you can extract that information, sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not. You have to sift through it. But, advice you've given me, as much as I don't want to admit it, my advice my wife has given me, has paid off.
Yeah.
Tenfold.
Yeah. Well, the open-minded pieces, especially when you have kind of You're the one that's invested in something. That was like that book I think I told you about, Marcus Sheridan's They Ask You Answer. It is the complete polar opposite of how I've done business my entire life. And I read it, and I got to this point where I was just reading the book, and I'm like, this guy's sharing everything. He was in the pool business. He had a pool company, and he's sharing all of his secrets about business. And I was like, why is this guy sharing all this stuff? This is ridiculous. And the next page, he says, I share all of this because I know that 99% of the people that read this won't do this. And it's like, wow, that's a pretty strong statement of, like what you say, it takes a lot to park your pride. And for me, I try to listen way more than I speak on things. Like, I don't know anything. I did, I think I did a podcast or a webinar recently where somebody says, I don't want to be I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I said, if there's anybody that I'm smarter than in a room, I'm leaving. Like, I want to be the dumbest person in the room because I want to learn and be a sponge. Where earlier in my career, I think I had something to prove, and I'd go in and I'd feel like a know-it-all. And I don't know a fraction of much of anything. I got a lot to learn, and it's paying off. Like, people genuinely want to help you, and they come up with good ideas. It was, putting my pricing and putting my stuff on my website is huge, because that's it's a large ask, and it's always going to be too much if they don't know. And now that's right there front and center, they know what their minimum investment is going to look like. So if they're reaching out to me and they say, I want to talk, it's a conversation right out of the gate of, hey, I know what this might cost or should cost. I still want to talk to you. And now that's qualified, right? And it's kind of like when we talk about things like show and price, it's like, yeah, you get 10 phone calls and 2 people buy. Well, that's 10 phone calls. It's 8 calls of your time. That's not well spent.
I definitely.
But you're in a different place now. See, you used to have, when I used to give you a hard time about that. See, mine's pretty cut and dry and standard. Like, I have a very simple formula on how I charge. You're doing everything custom. Like, I was half joking about, you don't make anything without a flag, but you're literally making a wavy flag with a bourbon case and holding glasses, which is something I want to do.
Right.
You can't say that's $850 or $1,000
no
across the board.
And believe me when I say, if I quote something, sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. Sometimes I get myself wrapped into making something that is just, I sit there and go, how the heck am I going to do this? And I've already committed to it. And it's not like I can go back. Like, if I'm renovating someone's house and we open a wall, we find 10,000 pipes and wires. Yeah, I can go back and say, hey, this is going to cost
pipes and wires
X amount of dollars to get out of the way.
Yeah,
this you ordered something and I quoted it and that's it. I mean, but having the average price, your standard flag that people are buying, the middle-sized flag is $350. It's been the same since 2017.
Yeah,
having those prices on there has helped.
Mm-hmm.
We have found, and this will be fixed in the website revamp, that when Squarespace optimizes over to your phone, the prices get lost.
Yeah.
And definitely we've talked about this, most people living on their phones now.
Yeah, everybody.
So
that's the next step. The BeAuSm app. That's what I'm working on. That's what I'm hoping to have in the next couple months. And then that way it's just they just tap it and everything's right there. So, well, listen, how do people get a hold of you? How do they buy your flags? How do they go to your shop and bother you while you're eating dinner? That's what I'm
the best place to start is the website, www.shoveltownflag.com. You can send me an email at chris@shoveltownflag.com. All our contact info is there. You can scroll back to, I don't know how far back that reel goes, but it used to be just about everything that has been out there. Facebook, like us, Instagram, like us. Those are good spots to start too. You can always click on the IG of Facebook and it'll take you to the website. But
and it's not just pictures of flags. You're sharing people's stories. You're sharing.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
It's not, just so people know that it's not just flags. It is flags, but it's not just pictures of flags with nothing on there. You actually put content and.
Yeah. And you're going to see more of that as we go, especially on the veterans donation end of what's going on. So that I'm looking forward to this year. I have so much that I want to do. I keep saying I'll take advantage of the slow period for this, then I'll start something that gets busy.
Yeah.
So this is supposed to be my slow time of the year, and I'm, still 3-4 weeks out on flags. They're not obviously not made overnight, and people,
Well, that's
people know
important.
that. But back to before we go, like what you've always said to me, having your prices out there, people or your price, people are reaching out to you because they're going to hire you.
Right.
It almost doesn't matter what you charge,
Mhm.
as long as it's within some
Fair and reasonable.
exactly. And that's the same with me. Some people, if they've seen the flags elsewhere, which is typically how it works, I'm not saying cost is not an option, but they're going to pay whatever it is as long as it's reasonable. So, I mean, I'm confident with what I charge, and there's a million other flag places out there, but none of them do it the way we do it. But it that's a sign of your quality and the content you put out.
Yep.
So,
well, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you setting this thing up. I appreciate this idea of having a studio, and that you're hearing people saying they want more of this.
yeah, ECAT, this is great.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, it's one of those things. And I think that there's other community access channels out there in other communities, but we grew up in Easton, and I was saying to Adam about Tuesday night trivia and the Easton Lions Club auction every year.
There was do a townie podcast.
A townie podcast just talking about town.
I was just
stuff.
going to make fun of you for an hour.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's great. We can talk about all the stuff that went on in town growing up in the 70s and 80s. But no, I honestly had I've had zero involvement with ECAT, and until recently. And what I found is they have these guys they have the history of the town. Like as far as a time capsule, they just put a video out, and you want to look at Easton Community Access Television on YouTube, but they just put a Tuesday night trivia video from like 1984. Like they've got some really cool stuff, and that's kind of important for folks to see. We're in such a fast moving world. It's important to kind of see where places were, what went on and what was in some place. I was just in St. Charles, Missouri a couple weeks ago, and I stayed at the streets of St. Charles, and it's on one side of the highway, and it's, P.F. Chang's and Bar Louie and new hotels and all the stuff. But what was really cool was old St. Charles, St. Charles on the river, the old restaurants, Tony's Steakhouse, like stuff.
Where was this?
St. Charles, Missouri.
And that's a state?
Missouri's a state. St. Charles
It's on the other side of the monument.
Yeah. I'm gonna get you a map. I think you're going to New York with me next month. We'll start there. But no, it's character and history is important, and I think people forget about that and get caught into the
especially a town like this. If you
shiny, flashy objects that come around.
If you take the time to realize what originated out of this town,
oh yeah,
it's like impressive and bizarre all at once.
Oh yeah. Well, I made a joke to somebody about, Sundays going into the funny mirror at the Nickelodeon Donuts, and people were like, "What?" I was like, "Nickelodeon Donuts," which is where El Mariachi was, which is where Perry's was.
Wow.
I
forgot about that.
Yeah. You could have a townie talk, but no, this is really cool. Hopefully, Adam has us back. Adam, am I going to be invited back here again?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Adam's going to have me back again. This has been fantastic. Great first experience. I can't thank those that have suggested my podcast to people, like Chris, like Samantha Godfrey, and she was a guest on the podcast early on in COVID. And I got to have some locals, because I did offer anyone in Easton that wanted to promote their business or anything that they were working on during COVID, and I had a couple of companies that still wanted to come on and talk about what they're doing and what they were doing to make a difference in COVID, and I think after COVID. So we'll have some other guests in here. But in the meantime, if you can follow, subscribe, like, share, do all that fun stuff. Everybody knows I'm not that big of a social media person, but if you do, if you see that this is worthy of a 5-star rating and review on any podcast platform that you listen to, if you can go ahead and give us that 5-star rating and review, we would appreciate it. We'll send you free t-shirts still. We've got 70 5-star ratings and reviews for you to put in a perspective. 90% of podcasts have 10 or less. So we're at 70, which is pretty good. So I'd love to get to 100 by the time we hit our June anniversary, our 5-year anniversary this June. So if you do that, send me an email with your name and address and shirt size, and I'll send you a BeAuSm t-shirt free of charge, include shipping and handling. Josh, J-O-S-H, at BeAuSm.com. Again, it's Josh at BeAuSm.com. And in the meantime, we'll look forward to having episode 106 from the road this week. Later on, we'll release that, and then maybe be back in the studio for episode 107 next week or the week after. So in the meantime, if you can be anything, be awesome. Thanks for listening.
Coming to you from underneath a peach blossom. It's time for an episode of BeAuSm. Find positivity throughout your life and work. Just like our mascot rooster, Steve the Jerk.